My name is Mr. Robert, and if I'm your role model, then you're in trouble. I want to expose the lies and give some inside information on the reality show 60 Days In. Notice I did not say documentary. The show was real, but the editing had more lies than a 55-gallon bucket of Drano sprinkled with soap. After watching the show, the viewer gets the impression inmates are bad people and you should be scared to go to jail. In reality, many men I encountered at Clark County Jail are not bad people. They have drug problems and cannot afford bond and counseling. The show should have been about addiction and a pathetic interpretation of the Sixth Amendment. I call it the Andy Griffith Show on heroin. Before I speak of drugs and the problems of pre-trial incarceration, let me make you aware of my backstory and what really happened. My mama told me my meaning in life is to help orphans and educate people. Now, if you have a child, you must download my book for free. It's a supplemental workbook that empowers parents to teach their children to read and write through sounds of the alphabet. Go to letshelporphans.org, the Teach link. And to promote artwork I do with orphans, it's not as easy as it should be, or maybe I'm just awful at it. I thought if I go on TV and become part of pop culture, it'll give me a platform to promote my humanitarian deeds on a large scale. To get the 60 Days In job, I sold myself as an entertainer. The show is not about finding drugs. It was about ratings. Entertainment draws ratings, and I'm an entertainer. Because ratings equals money. If they really wanted someone to find drugs in jail, why would they choose me? I'm the all-time world's worst undercover agent. I do not look or act the part. Before I went to jail, I asked Captain Maple Syrup about my crew cut and my cleanly shaven meal ticket. He replied, "Show up as you are." Several hours before I went to the big house, I was given a brand new white muscle shirt. Oh, and by the way, my cover story, I stole horse trailers. That's right, a horse trailer thief wanted on an out-of-state warrant. I messed up one of the lines, stop sign on the interstate. They did not even put me in classification before Pod 3D. Another red flag. They installed the cameras on a Saturday and Sunday, and I show up on a Monday. Suspicious, anyone? I knew I wasn't going to fit in, so I took it upon myself to act crazy, as nobody messes with the crazy guy. Ta-da, it's just an act. The inmates originally thought I was a police officer. What changed their mind 2 hours into my story was not in the script. They asked me about my extradition papers. I didn't know the answer to give. They conceded if I were a cop, I'd know the answer. Now, they called me A&E. They thought I was a reporter for the network. I was treated with the utmost respect. They offered me books, magazines, pen, paper, and even drugs. And I said no. I'm so straight edge, I don't even eat beer nuts. Everything is documented on video, especially the part when several big, strong tattoo guys confronted me and said, "Hey, we have extra socks here. Are your feet cold?" I had cold feet and a warm heart. These guys were so conscientious over my comfort. It's amazing stuff like that didn't air. Well, didn't fit in their storyline. I shouldn't have been surprised because one job I work with, part-time, they hire former addicts on parole, fresh from prison, and they're the most respectful, kind coworkers a person could ask for. The real reason I put the title of the camera, I did that because they did not put money on my commissary account. Authorities said they're going to put money on my account as soon as they could, and I felt they took much too long. I opened up a book, which I wrote zero balance, and I warned them twice on Wednesday and Thursday. And when they pulled me out, I told them, you don't pay me, you can't film me. uh, they put on the screen, I felt like I was going to get attacked. Nonsense. In fact, DeAndre, the gentleman got punched in the head. You can take a punch, by the way. He did not get hit because of me. Read about DeAndre Newbury criticizes A&E. Bunch of lies. The producers, just really slimy and sleazy. The truth was more interesting than what really happened. And the timeline on my illness was about 10 days off. I could not just get up and leave solitary confinement, which I'll still call meditation retreat. I was really stuck in there. But when I did get sick on day 20, when I was near death, I really want to thank the corrections officers. They're very kind and authentic when they took care of me. I was in bad shape. So if the corrections officers watch this, thank you for doing such a good job and taking care of me. I really appreciate that. On a personal level, I learned I could do without the things I love most in life. Now think for a moment, what do you love most in life? Well, I love making sculptures while I listen to rock and roll music, going to museums, and watching the NFL Network, which they don't have in jail. And I still had a good attitude and enjoyed life because I have a simple philosophy. Never dwell on what had happened, nor shall I dread what may happen. I appreciate the moment and everything I have, and I have life. And I'm thankful for the money that A&E paid me. I got 3 more kids off the street in Haiti and back in school. I have the tax documents to prove it. I'm affiliated with a 501c3 organization, and I just may come across as a bad guy on the show, but I'm actually the nicest one because I donate the bulk of my money to help street children. I went to jail to help orphans. What can you do? I was really naive about addiction before I went to jail, but now my ignorance is replaced with knowledge. The biggest problem with drugs is they work in the short term. Human beings are hedonistic by nature. They want to seek pleasure and avoid pain. I was with 54 men suffering the negative consequences from drug addiction. One inmate in particular I can't forget. He told me he can't see his kids because of his drug problem. He admitted he was an addict and he needed help and wasn't getting it. It was the most powerful footage of the entire show, and I still feel to this day. Several months later, back in the classrooms, I'm a substitute school teacher here in Philadelphia. Students tell me they can't see their father because of drugs. I don't know who it pains more, the parents in jail or the kids at home. In the U.S., from our point of view, there's 195 countries in the world and over 60 territories. Yes, I teach geography too. And we lock up approximately 22% of planet Earth's population in this one country. But I saw the faces behind the statistics and heard their stories. And A&E has all this, and I just want them to release it. Because maybe we could have a little social change if people see that these guys aren't a bunch of animals. They're human beings just like you and me. The thing, whenever I got sick, I admit I was embarrassed about it, but I had constipation. And that in turn gave me a severe flank strain. And when I was in great pain, I took painkillers to mask the symptoms. Well, many of these guys that don't know their families, fathers, they suffer mentally and they mask that pain with drugs. The difference between many of the inmates and myself, I have a mother and father always there for me, that love me and discipline me. Many of these inmates don't. I'm not making excuses for their actions, but I can understand things a little bit better now. Here's a story I was surprised they didn't air. One man told me he doesn't know his father. Anytime he's walking down a street and he sees a man about 25 years older than him, he's always thinking, is that my dad? I asked about his mother. He replied, oh, she's a junkie. He was in and out of foster care for the first 14 years of his life and living on the streets or wherever he could rest his head. I inquired, what are your interests? He told me, dope. I said, well, what do you do? He told me he's a dope dealer. We got to talking, and we really had quite a bit in common. Of course, I had a mother and father, and he didn't. And I started counseling this man. I felt I did a pretty good job. And told him, hey, he's a young man. He's like 21 or 22, and he could change his life. Remember, with a little boy's charm, he said, you really think I can? I said, absolutely, you can. A few minutes later, he asked to borrow my Bic ink pen. I thought, oh, he's going to take notes because I'm speaking words of wisdom. He's going to remember this. So he took the pen, he scratched the plastic gold leaf of the big Bic ink pen, then snorted it. Some breakthrough I made. Now, I know I'm not going to inspire Congress to make policy changes, but if I don't speak up, then I'm part of the problem. An inmate named Hitler. Now, I got along just fine with this man because I didn't bring up the Treaty of Versailles. He told me about the government's interpretation of the Sixth Amendment. And he's a nonviolent man caught with drugs, admitting his guilt, and he has a right to a speedy trial. And that's interpreted as up to 72 days. Now, one could starve to death and die at least 2 times in 72 days. Now, how are they going to pay their bills when they're in jail? How are they going to feed their families? I know you could say, oh, yeah, well, they shouldn't have taken those actions. But the reality is people do those things. And people can't afford bond. Cost our government approximately $8 billion a year. So you're paying for it. I'm just saying there's alternative solutions to this problem. So the speedy trial, well, that's being abused. I believe in accountability, and we have rights and we must take responsibility for our actions. Short, harsh sentences. Yes, perhaps shackles and chains. Picking up trash on the side of the roads on weekends, 12 hours a day, and they could pay their debts to society and maintain their jobs and see their families during the week. And if they decline, give them the restraint chair. Every time I heard the restraint chair used in jail, it worked. Some of you may disagree with this, but hey, they broke the law, they're slaves of the state. You must be tough, but also fair and give them a chance, an opportunity. So many inmates are concerned about work when they leave jail. If they have a job for them that pays them a respectable amount, because minimum wage is a joke in this country. Thank you, Congress. Because without a job and bills to pay, what do you think they're going to do for money? Any addict should get help they need, but the taxpayer should not pay the bill. If a heroin user needs methadone and counseling, they should be able to get that. Then 2% is deducted from each paycheck until the balance is paid. Because we live in a drug culture. Celebrities to the homeless. They all overdose. Drugs don't discriminate.